everybody, Alex Deployer from Expert Forex, and in today's video I want to show you some transactions that have been generated by the Dream Machine EA. The Dream Machine EA was launched about 10 days ago, and the objective of this EA is to trade the strongest currency against the weakest currency when that happens. So in the trades that I'll show you, this concept will be shown, and you'll also see how effectively the entries are made. They are almost made at ideal positions. These transactions come from our monitoring accounts, which we have in place on our forum, where we monitor the settings that are hard-coded in the EA. Now, those hard-coded settings allow you to purchase the EA, install it, and by answering two questions, which time frame do you want to trade and which approach do you want to use, either aggressive, balanced, or conservative, you could be trading in less than 10 minutes. That's how simple this EA is. So let's have a look at some of these trades. So the first trade on your screen is the USD yen. So you can clearly see that the USD was weakening substantially and the yen strengthening, and they reached a point where the USD was the weakest currency and the yen was the strongest currency in the entire market. And that's when that entry occurred, and you can see the change in trend that it caught. Nice, and it hit the target, looks like well over 100 pips there. And also you'll notice here is a trailing stop that followed the transaction up to make it safer. Now this is what we're going for. We're trying to catch these turning points in the market. So let's have a look at the next transaction. Now this is about the pound and the USD. The pound was strengthening tremendously, the USD was weakening, and there was a strong upward trend. The EA entered the trend. This is an almost perfect entry into this upward trend. There the sell was entered into. It took a while to mature, but eventually it did hit the target, and there's the following stop. Again, over 100 pips were generated by this transaction. Right, next. Let's have a look at the next transaction. This is the pound franc. Not such a spectacular entry here. We had a very strong downward trend on the pound, a weakening pound. Entry was not at an ideal turning point, but it did prove it correct in that the pound franc then reversed, and again it hit the target with the following stop close behind. Okay, let's have a look at transaction number 4. Now this was the pound Oz. Again, a weakening pound, a strengthening Australian dollar, and then again as they reached a high level of strength and weakness, the entry was made, and a pretty good one as it matured pretty quickly after the entry. Again, it hit the target with the following stop close behind. Right, so let's have a look at the next transaction. Okay, here's another almost ideal transaction. Strong trend upwards with the euro strengthening tremendously and the USD weakening. At the same time, it reached quite a point where the euro was the strongest currency, the USD was the weakest currency. Entered the deal there almost perfectly, came down, hit the target, and the following stop was close behind. Another perfect turning point identification. Okay, compared to the previous transaction, this is quite a messy one. This is the Euro Oz, and the Euro strengthened against the Oz. The Oz weakened and the Euro strengthened. An entry was made. They continued their trend, and it took a while for the Euro and the Oz to sort themselves out, but eventually the direction proved to be correct in that it was stopped out at the target. Nice positive trade with a trailing stop close behind. Also looks like a transaction over 100 pips. Okay, here's a transaction that we all dream of, catching the end of a spike, and this is what happened here. We have the Aussie USD. There was a sudden weakening of the Oz and a strengthening of the USD at the same time. caused a very fast movement in the market, as this market made the Oz the weakest currency and the USD the strongest currency. At that point, the entry was made and the price shot up and hit the target quite nicely very quickly after the entry with a nice following stop trailing behind. And then our last transaction, very similar to the previous one, the Aussie weakened quite tremendously against the yen. Again, the entry was made when both the Aussie was the Aussie was the weakest, the yen was the strongest, and the entry was then made, matured very quickly by hitting the target with a following stop close behind. I think you're starting to get an idea of what this dream machine EA is capable of. It's looking for the extreme conditions, it trades against those, and you get these transactions that identify turning points extremely well. So if you're interested in the Dream Machine EA, please follow the links that are provided in this video or in the description of this video. If you're already an owner of the EA, then this video will also be posted in the forum for you to look at it in a little bit more detail. You can also then compare these transactions with the monitoring accounts that are available in the forum. So from me, Alex Deploy, cheerio.